I just made homemade tomato soup and elevated grilled cheese sandwiches. Let me show you how I did it. I'm going to start with the tomato soup. It's a very easy tomato soup. And I almost feel like you're cheating when you do it this way. So we're going to start with this jar of the Rayo's marinara sauce or pasta sauce. It is my favorite. It doesn't have any sugar, which I really love. So that's going into a big pot. And we're going to put this on medium-high heat just to get it nice and warm. And the next thing I'm adding is this meat stock. You can just use a carton of chicken broth if that's what you have. I just made this meat stock a few days ago, and homemade meat stock or chicken broth or bone broth is actually really good for you when you're sick. We are dealing with a combination of different people in the household have either the flu or sinus infection or strep. Everyone except for the one person who's immunocompromised. So in here you'll see that this chicken broth is kind of chunky. That is not fat, that's the gelatin, and it'll melt down as I stir everything in together. But that's actually the best, like most healthy part of your bone broth or meat stock or chicken broth. It's got so much good nutrients in there. And I think actually in one of my videos I was simmering this on the back of the stove. So I'm just going to bring this up to a nice warm temperature, and really and truly you're just going to add seasonings, and you can use an immersion blender if you have like a chunky marinara and your family doesn't like that. You can use the immersion blender to make it really smooth, but I'm just going to let this simmer. I'm going to add some salt because I did not salt the broth at all. I have the flu, so if I'm out of breath, I'm doing the best I can. But even when you're sick, like your family still has to eat. Your kids, Delaney was just up here talking about, can I get a snack? I'm hungry for dinner. So even when you're sick, the show must go on. So I thought that I would make this tomato soup and grilled cheese, but also y'all know me, and I'm going to make it elevated, a little special grilled cheese. My hands are clean. I've been washing my hands a ton, so please don't worry about that.
I'm sorry.
My husband has the flu too.
We're all dying.
I'm just so thankful that our youngest, Scarlett, is not sick because she has major orthopedic surgery very soon, and she has some medical issues, so I'm just really thankful she's not sick. And we're doing all of the things to try to stay as healthy as possible. Okay, so I'm going to let this reduce, simmer, heat through, get happy, and right before I serve it, I'm going to turn off the heat and add some cream. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, if you want to keep it dairy-free, but I think the cream just adds a little bit of a sweetness that sometimes tomato soups need. But if you do want to do this dairy-free, you can add canned carrots, and the sweetness from the carrots will help with the acidity of the tomato products. So on to the grilled cheese. Now we're gonna make our grilled cheese. I love grilled cheese, don't get me wrong, but I like something a little bit special sometimes. So I'm making grilled cheese with pesto, fresh mozzarella, and prosciutto. I'm very excited about it. I made these rolls a few days ago, and I'm so glad that I did, and I've been keeping them in the refrigerator. And I'm telling you, this is one of the biggest tips I can give people, is prep ingredients ahead of time. Your future self will thank you for that, because now everyone's sick and I'm not door dashing for $1 million.
$50 coffees.
Yeah, we were gonna get coffee this morning until we realized how much it was gonna be. And we were like, no, thank you. So I've got 4 bread rolls that I am just going to slice in half. I'm slicing them like hamburger way, you know, how you would have like for hamburger. Brain fog is real. I'm also using a disposable foil pan just so I have less dishes that I have to do. So I'm just putting the bottoms down in the foil pan right now, and I'm going to show you why I'm doing that. So we're going to build our sandwiches that way. Every now and then I'm going to go stir my soup as well, as it's heating up over there, and we want that to reduce while we're making our sandwiches. And my oven is preheated to 400 degrees. And if you don't cut your rolls perfectly down the middle, it's fine.
Just give it to the little one.
Yeah, seriously. She's probably not going to eat hardly any of this because there's green stuff on it, but that's okay. What was I going to say? The brain fog is so real. I can't even remember what I was going to say. I'm turning the heat down a little bit on my soup because it was like at a rolling boil. Okay. I'm back. Now we're going to slice up our mozzarella. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. The bread roll recipe, I just used my super soft sandwich bread. I have that tutorial on the channel. I used that recipe, but I doubled it. And instead of forming it into a loaf, I made them into buns and cooked them for a little bit less time. So I'm just slicing. I have a ball of fresh mozzarella, and I'm just slicing that a bit. I grabbed 2 balls of fresh mozzarella out, but I actually don't think I'm going to need both now that I'm thinking about it. And tip for slicing is to tuck your fingers under, so you won't cut your fingertips if your fingertips are tucked under. Okay, I'm grabbing a paper towel for my hands. Next, I have some pesto. I just grabbed the pesto from the store. Is it the best thing? No, but it is what it is. We are where we are, and it's still gonna be good. So I'm going to spoon a pretty generous spoonful on each bottom piece that I have in my foil pan. And I'm telling you, pesto and fresh mozzarella and prosciutto, it's just so good. You can't go wrong. So I'm grabbing each bottom piece out of my pan and holding it right up to the jar, just so I cut down on spilling on my counter. But really and truly, I make a mess when I cook. And I think that's fine. I always clean up when I'm done. There's gonna be a mess. I think it's okay. I'm not a tidy cook, but my food tastes good. I think that's all that really matters, if you ask me. I'm just spreading this pesto.
That's a lie.
I'm not a tidy cook. You're just a really untidy cook.
Stop making me laugh.
My beautiful assistant is back. The other one, she's the one that's got the sinus infection and strep. She gave it to all of us. I think she started with the flu
Fired.
from school. She got the flu because she was sick about a week and a half ago, and then I think she was so nice to give the flu to all of us. But here's my conspiracy. We take vitamins, we eat very, very well. I think all things considered, our flu is very minor, comparatively speaking, to some other people who have been getting sick. I'm gonna go stir my soup again. Okay, and now I'm going to start layering. So I'm just going to put some fresh mozzarella on each bottom piece of my bread. I am breaking up the slices a little bit because the slices are a little bit chunky, and as it the mozzarella melts, it'll spread out a bit. I love fresh mozzarella. It's so good. I feel like it really elevates a dish, especially if you're using it with pesto. Come on, delicious. Delicious. And you're probably going to ask, why am I putting this in a pan? I am tired. I don't want to stand over a griddle. That sounds terrible to me right now. So I'm going to put the toppings on and I'm going to bake this in the oven. And that's what sounds like a good idea to me. Now I'm just going to grab my prosciutto and put a slice of prosciutto on each sandwich. Not everybody loves prosciutto. You can leave this part out, but we love prosciutto.
We do?
Yes, we do. It's delicious.
All of us?
Do you not want any prosciutto on yours?
I'd rather not, no, thank you.
Oh, wow. You know, I don't think Scarlett's going to want prosciutto on hers either.
She takes that to me.
So I think I'm just going to put prosciutto on too.
Put extra on
And you
yours.
know what? You're right. Delaney and I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
we deserve 2 pieces
Yes,
of
you do,
prosciutto.
lady. Yes, you do. I will gladly give you my prosciutto.
Oh, that's love.
Yeah. Now, if you had pepperoni,
Have y'all heard of the olive theory? That you want to marry someone, if you love olives, marry someone who hates them, so you always get to have their olives. So I guess for us, it's the prosciutto theory and the mushroom theory.
and the boiled egg theory.
You like boiled eggs.
Oh, we know. That, what was it? The second brain fog too.
Oh man. So the pieces that have prosciutto, I am going to add a little bit of mozzarella on top of the prosciutto, just so the top piece of the bread adheres with the melted cheese, because if not, it'll just kind of sit on top, which is fine. That's not a big deal. But the best part of a grilled cheese sandwich is the ooey gooiness. And where's my pesto? I'm going to go back and add, do y'all hear him?
I'm so sorry. So bad.
I'm going to go back and add just a little bit more pesto to each piece. This is where it's going to get messy. And my hands are clean. Please trust and believe. I don't want to share my germs with anyone.
That one comment got you deep, didn't it?
No, I just want people to understand that I'm sick, but you can still prepare meals for your family when you're sick if you feel up to it. Hey, if you want to DoorDash, do it. My bank account she's not willing to do that. I think partially we have a cruise coming up in the summer, so we are just being very good stewards of our money right now. Okay, I've just topped all of my little sandwiches, so I'm going to stick these in the oven until the cheese melts, and I'll let y'all know how long that takes. I think let's start with 10 minutes. You can put some butter on top. I'm tired, I'm not doing it, but you can put butter on top. My soup is pretty much done, but my marinara did have some chunks in it, and I'm looking for a very smooth consistency, so I'm going to use an immersion blender. A lot of people are scared of these, but they're not scary. It's really not that big of a deal. If you want to start small, you can start with soup that is not so hot. Mine is pretty hot, but that's okay because I have faith in myself. So what I'm going to do, you do not ever want to pull your immersion blender completely out from under the liquid. That's very important. So I'm putting my immersion blender in my pot, and mine has a cord, and I'm setting my cord on top of my shoulder so I know where it is so it doesn't accidentally get into my soup. And then the hand that is on top of my immersion blender, I'm also holding the cord there too between my fingers. So my immersion blender has a safety. You have to press 2 buttons for it to run. So I'm going to press my top button and then my bottom button, and I'm going to hover my immersion blender barely over the bottom of my pot, And I'm just going to blend until my soup is smooth, and that's really it. It's not nearly as scary as it seems. Sometimes it'll suction to the bottom of the pan. You just stop the blending and restart. And that's good enough for me. If you want to check the consistency at this point, you can use your spoon and pull out a little spoon of your soup. I'm just taking my end off of my immersion blender, tapping it off. I'm also wearing an apron. If you're using an immersion blender, you need to wear an apron, especially with something like tomato soup. And the last thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of cream. So let me turn off my heat. I had my heat on very, very low. And let's see, my husband put the cream away. So let's see if I can find it. If you know, you know. Found it. If you're not the one to put the groceries away, it's like you'll never find it. Oh gosh, these are one of the ones that have the foil on top. I hope you edit this part out.
Oh, I'm not. On today's struggle episode. Well, I'm definitely keeping this part.
I just used a butter knife to stab through the top of the foil. I'm just tired. I don't feel like fighting that hard today. So I'm going to add about a cup of cream. You can add a little bit less. That was probably half a cup. You can add a little bit less or omit it completely. And soup is ready. You can top it with mozzarella, shredded provolone, Parmesan, croutons, whatever you want. Now, let's check our sandwiches. My oven mitts have roosters on them. So I'm going to take one oven mitt off, and I'm just going to touch the sandwiches very carefully. Nice and crusty. Yeah, I think we're good with that. So I'm just going to let the sandwiches sit for a couple of minutes before we handle them, and we'll plate everything up. I'll show you what it looks like in just a sec. Here's our finished product. I'm trying not to drop it. It's actually very heavy for my poor weak arms. So we'll enjoy this, and I'm so appreciative for y'all watching. I almost didn't record today, so if I have bags under my eyes, don't tell me in the comments. So much love to y'all, and until next time, happy homemaking. Do 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 do.